Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Outlaws and Gunslingers Mafia Edition. Yep. It's the first episode of the month. We told you guys.
About to hear some guys get napped.
About to get napped all throughout this episode. It's a napping episode. We got the Gambino crime family starting out the first episode on these guys after we finished the Bananos a couple weeks ago. Let us know if you guys prefer this version. Do one episode a month of Mafia and the rest true crime, or do you want like a 2 and 2, or continue on with the Mafia full time until we're done with the Mafia? We need to know from you guys your opinions, what you want, because obviously it's all about what you guys want. So if you guys want continuous episodes of the Mafia, let us know in the comments of this YouTube video or on the review, or you can every episode that's put out on Spotify, there's a question that says, how do you like this episode, or whatever. So respond on there, whatever you guys want. In the meantime, speaking of YouTube, at Bang Dang Network shows, full shows, clips, and shorts, and our YouTube exclusive Dart League, as well as leave a review on Spotify, Apple, and especially let us know if you guys want Mafia full-time still, or continue, or keep going. I don't know. We're not continue because we just started it, so we don't even know how it's going to go yet. So, Gambino Crime Family, which is actually kind of cool that we're starting this right now, because a little hit off the popularity of the recently released Netflix documentary Get Gotti, which is still one of their top 10 shows right now, which I highly recommend you guys go watch because good stuff.
Awesome.
Recordings and all that good stuff. So, yeah, and let me tell you guys, he wasn't so smart behind the scenes. The Gambinos, which went through 5 bosses between 1910 and 1957, is named after Carlo Gambino, boss of the family at the time of the McClellan hearings in 1963, when the structure of organized crime first gained public attention. The group's operations extend from New York and the eastern seaboard to California. Its illicit activities include labor and construction, racketeering, gambling, loan sharking, extortion, money laundering, prostitution, fraud, hijacking, fencing, moida, everything else.
I mean, name it.
Its activities include Mafia.
Right. The origins of the Gambino crime family can be traced back to the faction of newly transplanted mafiosi from Palermo, Sicily, who were originally led by Ignazio Lupo.
The Wolf.
Oof. When he and his partner by business and marriage, Giuseppe Morello, were sent to prison for counterfeiting in 1910. Salvatore Toto D'Aquila, one of Lupo's chief captains, he took over. D'Aquila was an influential immigrant from Palermo who joined the Lupo gang based in East Harlem. Founded in 1900s, the Lupo Mano Nera gang was one of the first Italian criminal groups in New York. Lupo was partner in many ventures with Morello, who was the original Capo di Tutti Capi, the boss of bosses. This is a title that would later be coveted by D'Aquila. As other gangs formed in New York, they acknowledged Morello as their boss of bosses. I don't think they had a choice.
Right.
Unless you want full of war.
Well, they did.
1906, D'Aquila's first name. No,
just his first name.
1906, D'Aquila's name first appeared on the old police records for running a confidence.
A confidence scam. What is
Confidence
that?
scam. What the hell is that?
Attempt to defraud a person or group after first gaining their trust.
No.
So, right. 1910, Giuseppe Morello and Ignazio Lupo were sentenced to 30 years in prison for counterfeiting. With the Morello family weakened, D'Aquila used the opportunity to establish the dominance of what is now his own Palermitani family in East Harlem.
Oh, shit.
D'Aquila quickly used his ties to other mafia leaders in the United States to create a network of influence and connections, and was soon a powerful force in New York.
Look at that. Nice. 1910, more Italian gangs had formed in New York City. In addition to the original Morello gang in East Harlem, and D'Aquila's own, now growing gang, also in East Harlem. But it's expanding into Italy and Manhattan's Lower East Side as well. There were other organizations forming, too. Brooklyn, Niccolo Colashiro established a second gang of Sicilian mafiosi from the Castellammarese del Golfo, west of Palermo in Sicily. A third Sicilian gang was formed by Alfred Mineo in Brooklyn. Another Morello captain, Gaetano Rene, had also broken away in the Bronx, ruling
Is that a movie?
right, ruling that area with impunity. In the south of Brooklyn, first Johnny Torrio, then Frankie Yale, they were leading a new and rising organization. Finally, there were two allied Neapolitan Camorra gangs, one on Coney Island and the other on Navy Street in Brooklyn. They were ran by Pellegrino Morano and Alessandro Valero.
Yep, 1916, the Camorra had assassinated Nicholas Morello, head of the Morello gang. In response, Tequila allied with the Morellos to fight the Camorra.
Damn right.
1917, both Morano and Valero were convicted of murder and sentenced to life.
Ooh.
With their leadership gone, the two Camorra gangs disappeared, and Tequila and the Sherrill family in Brooklyn took over many of their rackets.
I mean, somebody's got to.
All right, soon after, Tequila absorbed the Mineo gang, making Mineo his first lieutenant. He's like, I'll take your gang, but you can be my first guy.
Right.
Tequila now controlled the largest and most influential Italian gang in New York. It was about this time that Joe Masseria, another former Morello captain, began asserting his influence over the Lower East Side's Little Italy and began to come into conflict with Tequila's operations there as Prohibition has approached. Ooh, yeah.
Not only fighting for turf, but
exactly what Prohibition did right here is
Right.
turn everybody into this is when the shit rouse.
Right.
Rouse.
Take away people's alcoholic beverages. 1920, United States outlawed the production of sale of alcohol beverages.
That was actually in the year before that.
Yeah, 1990. Created an opportunity for an extremely lucrative illegal racket for the New York gangs. By 1920, Tequila's only significant rival was Giuseppe Masseria. He was called Joe the Boss. Masseria had taken over the Morello family interests, and by the mid-1920s had began to amass power and influence to rival that of Tequila. By the late 1920s, Tequila and Masseria were headed for a showdown.
And we all know what that showdown gonna be.
Showdown of ages.
Well, 8 years.
Showdown of showdowns.
Right. Showdown of the century.
Right.
8 years later, though, October 10th, Masseria gunmen assassinated Salvatore Tequila outside his home.
Oh.
Tequila's second in command, Alfred Mineo, and his right-hand man, Steve Ferrigno. Ferrigno, yeah. Now commanded the largest, most influential Sicilian gang in New York.
For how long?
1930, the Castellamarese War started between Masseria and Salvatore Maranzano, which was the new leader of Cola Sherrill's Castellamarese gang, for control of Italian-American organized crime in New York.
Right.
Mineo was a casualty. He and Ferrigno were shot dead during an assassination attempt on Masseria on November 5th, 1930. April of 31, Masseria was murdered in a restaurant by several of his gang members who had defected to Maranzano.
Oh, wow.
And we all know what Maranzano did.
Yep, well, that Maranzano, he said, I am the boss of all bosses. And he reorganized all the New York gangs into 5 crime families. Maranzano appointed Frank Scalise as the head of the old Aquila Mineo gang, now designated as one of New York's new 5 families. September 1931, Maranzano was himself moited in his office by a squad of contract killers. The main beneficiary and organizer of both hits was Charlie Lucky Luciano. Mm-hmm. Oh, Lucky kept Maranzano.
Oh, Lucky Chucky.
Right. He kept Maranzano's 5 families and added a commission. He's like, I'm going to see your 5 families and raise you a commission. He did that to mediate disputes and prevent more gang warfare.
Also got rid of the Capo di Tutti Capi.
Supposedly.
Right. Also in 1931, Luciano replaced Scalise with Vincent Mangano as head of the Tequila Mineo gang, now which is called the Mangano crime family. Mangano also received a seat on the new commission. The modern era of the Cosa Nostra had begun. Ooh. Vincent Mangano now took over the family with Joseph Biondo as concierge and Albert Anastasia as underboss. Yeah, he is in this, right? We're going to finally do an episode on Anastasia, huh? Vincent Mangano still believed in the old world mob traditions of honor, tradition, respect, and dignity. However, he was somewhat more forward-thinking and looking than either Masseria or Maranzano. To compensate for the law...
He was a mustache peeper willing to shave.
Right, just the chin here. To compensate for loss of massive revenues with the end of Prohibition in 1933, Vincent Mangano moved his family into extortion, union racketeering, and illegal gambling operations, including horse betting, running numbers, and lotteries.
Right.
Do that lottery business.
Mangano also established the City Democratic Club, ostensibly to promote American values. Make America great, baby.
Right.
Reality, the club was the cover for Morta Inc., the notorious band of mainly Jewish hitmen who performed contract murders for the Cosa Nostra nationwide. Anastasia was the operating head of the Murder Inc. He was popularly known as the Lord High Executioner. Vincent Mangano also had close ties with Emil Carmada, a vice president of International Longshoremen's Association, the ILA. Through the ILA, Mangano and the family completely controlled Manhattan and the Brooklyn waterfronts.
1932 onward, the president of the LIA Local 81814 was Anthony Tough Tony Anastasio, Albert Anastasia's younger brother. I don't know why they're spelled different.
Right.
Anthony kept the Anthony kept the original spelling of their last name.
Oh.
Anastasio was one of the family's biggest earners, steering millions of dollars in kickbacks and payoffs into the family's coffers. Anastasio made no secret of his ties to the mob. He only had to say, "My brother Albert," to get his point across.
Ooh, my brother.
My brother Albert wants this to be done. My brother Albert, right. With the family's back in the Brooklyn waterfront was Anastasio's bailiwick for 30 years.
Ooh.
Or bailiwick, whatever that means.
Right. Around this very time, Carlo Gambino promoted within the Mangano family, along with another future boss, Gambino's cousin, Paul Castellano. We all know what happened to that guy.
And both of them.
Anastasia and Mangano were usually in conflict, though, even though they worked together for 20 years. On numerous occasions, Anastasia and Mangano came close to physical conflict. I mean, happens, man. Families fight.
Right.
Vincent Mangano felt uncomfortable with Anastasia's close ties to Lucky, Frank Costello, and Joseph Bonanno, and other top mobsters outside of his family.
He's like, why are you running over there? We're the family. There's our different families.
Mangano was also jealous of Anastasia's strong power base in Murder, Inc. and the waterfront unions.
April.
Yeah, it was more of that. Yeah, he had the edge over there.
Right. Anastasia was a favorite.
All right.
In April 1951, Vincent Mangano disappeared without a trace while his brother Philip was found dead. No one was ever charged in the Mangano brothers' murders or deaths, and Vincent's body was never found.
Whoa.
However, it's generally believed that Anastasia murdered both of them. Called to face the commission, Anastasia refused to accept guilt for the Mangano murder.
All right, why would you admit it?
Right. However, Anastasia did claim that Vincent Mangano had been planning to kill him.
No.
Anastasia was already running the family in Vincent Mangano's absence, quote unquote, and the commission members were intimidated by Anastasia.
Oh, really?
Well, look at him. He's a freaking murderer.
Right.
The highest murderer of high order. With the support of Frank Costello, boss of the Luciano crime family, the commission confirmed Anastasia's ascension as boss of what was now the Anastasia crime family.
Oh.
Carlo Gambino, on the other hand, a wily character with designs on the leadership for himself, maneuvered himself into the position of consigliere.
He's like, I want to be here. Former boss of Murder, Inc., Anastasia was a vicious murderer who inspired fear throughout the New York families. With Costello as an ally, Anastasia came to control the commission. Costello's bitter rival was Vito Genovese, a former underboss for Lucky. Since 1946, Genovese had been scheming to remove Costello from power, but was not powerful enough to face Anastasia.
Well, Anastasia's own brutal actions soon created a favorable climate in New York for his removal.
Right.
In 1952, Anastasia ordered the murder of a Brooklyn man, Arnold Schuster, who had aided in the capture of the bank robber Willie Sutton. Anastasia did not like the fact that Schuster had helped the police. Oh. The New York families were outraged by this gratuitous killing that raised a large amount of public fear.
Right.
Anastasia also alienated one of the Luciano powerful associates, Meyer Lansky, by opening casinos in Cuba to compete with Lansky's.
Oh.
Genovese and Lansky soon recruited Carlo Gambino to the conspiracy by offering him the chance to replace Anastasia and become boss himself.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with Lansky, and you mess with a Jewish man's money.
Right. Never.
No. 1957, Frank Costello. He escaped a Genovese organized murder attempt with minor injury and decided to reign as boss.
Or resign.
He decided he's getting the hell out of Dodge. However, Genovese and Gambino, they soon learned that Costello was conspiring with Anastasia to regain power. They decided to kill Anastasia. 25th of October, 1957, several masked gunmen moited Anastasia in the barbershop at Park Sheraton Hotel in Manhattan. As Anastasia sat in the barber's chair, the three assailants rushed in, shoved the barber out of the way, and started shooting. The wounded Anastasia allegedly lunged at his killers, but only hit their reflections in the wall mirror.
Oh, damn.
Anastasia died at that very scene. Many historians believe that the Gambino ordered capo regime Joseph Biano to kill Anastasia. Biano gave the contract to a squad of Gambino drug dealers led by Stephen Armorone and Stephen Grammalta. With Anastasia's death, Carlo Gambino became boss of what is now called the Gambino crime family. Makes sense.
Joseph Biondo was appointed underboss. He was, by 1965, replaced by Agnello Della Croce.
Yeah.
Gambino and Luciano then allegedly provided a part of the $100,000 paid to a Puerto Rican drug dealer to falsely implicate Genovese in a drug deal.
Oh, man.
April 1959, Genovese was sentenced to 15 years in Federale prison, where he died in 1969.
Wow.
Damn. Gambino quickly built the family into the most powerful crime family in the United States. He was helped by Meyer Lansky's offshore gaming houses in Cuba and the Bahamas, which was a lucrative business for the Cosa Nostra.
Of course it was.
Until,
yeah.
what's his name came in?
So, JFK. 1964. Joey Bananas, the head of the Banana crime family. Joseph Magliocco, the new boss of the Profaci crime family, conspired to murder Gambino and his allies on the commission. However, the man entrusted with the job, Joseph Colombo, he instead revealed the plot to Gambino. He's like, check this shit out. You wouldn't believe what they want me to do to you.
Right.
The commission led by Gambino.
What are you going to do to make this go away?
Right. The commission led by Gambino forced Magliocco to resign and hand over his family to Colombo, while Bonanno fled to New York. Well, I don't think I would flee out of New York if I was you, bud. Gambino then became the most powerful leader of the five families. Look at this guy.
He did flee out of New York.
Oh, he fled New York, not two.
1971, Gambino allegedly used his power to orchestrate the shooting of Colombo. Gambino and his allies were unhappy about Colombo's high public profile. Sound familiar? Jerome Johnson shot Colombo on June 28, 1971 at the Second Italian-American Unity Day.
Oh.
A rally. Johnson was then shot and killed on the spot by Colombo's bodyguards.
Oh, wow.
Damn. Johnson was tentatively linked to the Gambino family, but no one else was charged in the shooting.
Okay.
Colombo survived the shooting, but remained paralyzed until his death in 1978.
Wow.
We'll get to you, Colombo.
Gambino's influence also stretched into the behind-the-scenes control of the Lucchese crime family, led by Carmine Mr. Gribbs Tramonte. 1972, Gambino allegedly picked Frank Funzi Thierry. Funzi? Is it Funzi?
Sure.
Frank Funzi Thierry to be the front boss of the Genovese family. Gambino had allegedly ordered the murders of Thierry's predecessor, Thomas Eboli. Yep. After Eboli failed to repay a $3 million loan to Gambino.
Yes. These are all on our other Mafia episodes we've covered already on these guys.
No, others believe that Eboli was killed by his own family for his erratic ways. Either way, he's dead.
Right.
I don't think it matters how he died.
Under Gambino, the family gained particularly strong influence in the construction industry.
Of course.
It acquired behind-the-scenes control of Teamsters Local 282, which controlled access to most building materials in the New York City area, and could literally bring the most construction jobs in New York City to a halt.
Yep.
October 15th, 1976, Carlo Gambino died at his home of natural causes. I don't think it was natural causes when he was paralyzed from getting shot. Against expectations, he had appointed Castellano to succeed him over his underboss, Del Croce. Gambino appeared to believe that his crime family would benefit from Castellano's focus on white-collar businesses.
Okay.
Della Croce, at the time, was in prison for tax evasion, and he was unable to contest Castellano's secession.
I mean, what can you do?
Right.
Wait till you get out, bud.
Right.
Castellano's secession was confirmed at a meeting on the 24th of November, with Della Croce present.
What the hell?
Castellano arranged for Della Croce to remain an underboss while directly running traditional Cosa Nostra activities, such as extortion, robbery, and loan sharking. While Della Croce attempted Castellano's secession, accepted, not attempted. Such an idiot. Well, Della Croce accepted that Castellano was going to be the boss. The deal effectively split the Gambino family into two rival factions, which
usually
we've
happens.
seen in the other families as well.
Bonanno, at least. Right. When Castellano became boss, he negotiated a division of responsibilities between himself and Della Croce. Castellano took control of the so-called white-collar crimes that included stock embezzlement and other big money rackets.
Right.
Della Croce retained control of the traditional Cosa Nostra activities. To maintain control over the Della Croce faction, Castellano relied on the crew run by Anthony Nino Gaggi and Roy DeMeo. The DeMeo crew allegedly committed from 74 to 200 murders during the late 70s and mid-80s.
Damn.
As Castellano became more powerful in the Gambino family, he started to make large amounts of money from construction concrete.
Bet he did. Castellano's son, Philip, was the president of Scara Mix Concrete Corporation, which exercised a near monopoly on Staten Island on construction concrete.
Jeez.
Castellano also handled the Gambino interest in the Concrete Club.
Dude, it's just crazy. New York. They knew. They were like,
Nothing you can do.
60s, 70s, all these tall-ass buildings coming up. And they're like, hundreds and hundreds of buildings are about to be built in the next 20 years. We need to get into this business. And that was probably their most lucrative shit that they had.
Couldn't do anything about it.
Sad.
Yep, you had to take their contracts.
Or else.
Yeah, or else, baby.
Even everybody knew. The mayor down to every politician knew that
Yep.
you got to be friendly with the mafia or else ain't shit getting built around here.
Yep, just roll with it for a little while. Well, the Concrete Club. This was a club of contractors selected by the commission to handle contracts between $2 and $15 million. In return, contractors gave 2% kickback of the contract value to the commission. Castellano also supervised Gambino control of Teamsters Union, Local Chapter 282, which provided workers to pour concrete at all major buildings projects in New York and Long Island. Not only did they get the contract for the concrete, but they also got the contract for the workers
For
to
the union,
pour it.
right. So they're like, we'll have no stoppages.
Right,
And
we'll get all the
we'll pay you union, whatever the hell we say we pay you, and you'll accept it.
right, and whatever licenses or
From permits and
shit like that. Shit. Instant pass through the council.
Yep. In response to the rise of the Gambino family, federal prosecutors targeted the family leadership, clearly. March 31st, 1984, a federal grand jury indicted Castellano and 20 other Gambino members and associates with charges of drug trafficking, murder, theft, prostitution, among others. Right. The following year, he received a second indictment for his role in the Mafia's commission. Facing life imprisonment for either case, Castellano arranged for John Gotti, to serve as an acting boss alongside Thomas Bellotti, who was Castellano's favorite capo, and Thomas Gambino in his absence.
Okay.
John Gotti said, I ain't having that.
Castellano's most vocal critic was John Gotti, a Queens-based capo and Della Croce's protege. Gotti was ambitious and wanted to be boss himself. He also rapidly became dissatisfied with Castellano's leadership, regarding the new boss as being too isolated and greedy. Like other members of the family, Gotti also personally disliked Castellano. The boss lacked street credibility, and those who had paid their dues running street-level jobs did not respect this guy. Gotti also had an economic interest. He had a running dispute with Castellano on the split Gotti took from hijackings at Kennedy Airport. Gotti is also rumored to be expanding into drugs, a lucrative trade Castellano had banned.
Oh, they all banned it.
All right. They're like, hey, man, this is where the money's at. Concrete's old news.
No, it's not, but...
Right. But it's old news.
Drugs that get you popped quicker, that's for sure. That's why they didn't hate it because of the money. They just...
Right.
Drugs will get you fucking... You got to sell lower down and lower down the ladder with drugs, and those guys are snitch.
Yep. And the next thing you know, you're killing everybody.
Well... we'll get to when we cover the last episode of the Gambinos, all the people that informed on this in this family, dude.
Ridiculous.
More than what we've covered in the last two families combined. We've had a lot. August 1983, Ruggiero and Gene Gotti were arrested for dealing heroin, based primarily on recordings from a bug in Ruggiero's house. That's idiots. Castellano, who had made men from his family from dealing drugs under the threat of death, demanded transcripts of the tapes, and when Ruggiero refused, threatened to demote Gotti.
Uh-oh.
Gotti began conspiring with fellow disgruntled capos Frank DiCicco and Joseph Joe Piney Armone, or Armone, whatever you want to call him, and soldier Sammy the Bull Gravano and Robert Dib DiBernardo, collectively dubbed the First by themselves.
The Fist.
The Fist, my bad. They were the Fists.
Right.
And he dubbed them to not dubbed them, but he picked them to overthrow Castellano, insisting, despite the boss's inaction, that Castellano would eventually try to kill him as well.
Definitely.
Armone's support was critical. As a respected old-timer who dated back to the family's founder, Vincent Mangano, wow, so he's an old guy, huh?
Right.
He would lend needed credibility to the conspirators' cause to the rest of the commission and shit.
Mm-hmm. He's a respected man. It has long been a rule in the Mafia that the killing a boss is forbidden without the support of a majority of the commission. Indeed, Gotti's planned hit would have been the first attack on the boss since Albert Anastasia was moited in 1957.
That's not true.
Gotti knew that it would be too risky to solicit support.
That's true, yeah.
Right. Gotti knew.
Genovese tried to take out Costello in the early 50s, right?
Right. Gotti knew that it would be too risky to solicit support from the other four bosses since they had long-standing ties to Castellano. To get around this, he got the support of several important figures from his generation, such as Lucchese, Colombo, and Bonanno families.
of his generation of people inside those families. Right.
He did not consider approaching Genovese family, though, as Castellano had close ties with Genovese boss Vincent, the Chin Gigante.
However, Gotti could also count on the complicity of Gambino concierge Joey Gallo. After Della Croce died of cancer on December 2nd, 1985, Castellano revised his succession plan, appointing Bellotti as underboss to Thomas Gambino as the sole acting boss while making plans to break up Gotti's crew.
Oh, man.
Infuriated by this and Castellano's refusal to attend Della Croce's wake, Gotti resolved to kill his boss.
Got to.
December 16th, 1985, Bellotti and Castellano arrived at Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan for a dinner meeting with capo Frank DeCicco. DeCicco had tipped off Gotti that he would be meeting with Castellano and several other Gambino mobsters at Sparks that evening.
Oh, wow.
As Bellotti and Castellano were exiting their car, 4 unidentified gunmen under Gotti's command shot them to death.
Oh.
Gotti watched the hit from his car with Sammy the Bull.
And then drove away.
And then drove by.
Right.
To make sure he was dead.
Several days after Castellano murder, Gotti was named a 3-man committee. No, it was named to a 3-man committee along with Gallo and DeCicco.
DeCicco.
Yep. Yeah, DeCicco. This was to temporarily run the family pending the election of a new boss. It was also announced that an internal investigation into Castellano's murder was underway. However, it was
their own link.
Right.
What are they called? IA, Internal Affairs.
Right. It was an open secret that Gotti was acting boss in all but name, and nearly all of the family's capos knew he had been the one behind the hit. He was formally acclaimed as the new boss of the Gambino family at a meeting of 20 capos held on January 15th, the year 1986.
At this switch time, Gotti appointed Frank DeCicco as his underboss and promoted Angelo Ruggiero and Sammy the Bull to capos. At the time of his takeover, the Gambino family was regarded as the most powerful American mafia family with an annual income of $500 million. Gotti was known as the Dapper Don, renowned for his hand-tailored suits and silk ties. Unlike his colleagues, Gotti made little effort to hide his mob connections and was very willing to provide interesting sound bites to the media. He was. His home in Howard Beach, Queens, was frequently seen on television.
Oh, okay.
He loved it. He loved it.
Sure did, huh? He liked to hold meetings with family members while walking in public places so that law enforcement agents could not record the conversations. One of Gotti's neighbors in Howard Beach was Joseph Massino, underboss of the Bonanno family.
Okay, good for him.
Gotti and Massino had a long-lasting friendship dating back to the 1970s when they were known as 2 of the most proficient truck hijackers in New York. Mob leaders from the other families were enraged at the Castellano moida and disapproved of Gotti's high-profile style.
Well, his strongest enemy was Genovese crime family boss Vincent the Chin Gigante.
I'm sure.
Who was a former Castellano ally.
Makes sense.
Gigante conspired with Lucchese boss Anthony Tony Ducks Corallo to have Gotti killed.
Ooh.
Corallo gave the contract to 2 top members of his family, Vittorio Vicamuzzo and Anthony Gaspipe Casso.
So now they're just killing bosses?
I guess. Not even, you're right. Gotti's newfound fame had at least one positive effect for Gotti. Upon the revelation of his attacker's occupation, and amid reports of intimidation by the Gambinos, Romuald Pajcik decided not to testify against Gotti thanks to the Bosco the Yugo Radonjic, who was the head of the West Season Hell's Kitchen Man. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't go into detail with this, but the documentary that's on Netflix right now, it was like a road rage incident. Gotti got out and punched the dude in the face, and now they're trying to take him to trial.
Right.
For that, just to
get him on.
Put him in jail.
Right.
But this guy's like, no, I'm not testifying against this guy. Are you stupid?
I don't think so. When the trial began, March 1986, Pajcik, he testified he was unable to remember who attacked him. The case was promptly dismissed, with the New York Post summarizing the proceedings with the headline, "I forgot it." It was nice. Good for you guys.
The New York Post is famous for shit like that.
Right. It was later revealed that Gambino thugs had severed Pajcik's brake lines, made threatening phone calls, stalked him before the trial. 13th April 1986, DeCicco was moited when his car was bombed following a visit to Castellano loyalist James Fiala. The bombing was carried out by none other than Victor Amuso and Anthony Casso of the Lucchese family, on the orders of Gigante and Lucchese boss Anthony Corallo, to avenge Castellano and Bellotti by killing their successors.
Oh, that's not their fault.
Right. Gotti had also planned to visit Fiala that very day, but he canceled. And the bomb was detonated after a soldier who rode with DeCicco was mistaken for the boss.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Bombs had long been banned by the Mafia out of concern that it would put innocent people in harm's way,
Leading doing anything they want now.
Apparently, leading the Gambinos to initially suspect that Zips, or Sicilian mafiosi working in the U.S., were behind it.
Oh.
Zips were well known for using bombs.
Yes, they were.
So they're trying to start another war. Following the bombing, Judge Eugene Nickerson, presiding over Gotti's racketeering trial, rescheduled the trial to avoid a jury tainted by the resulting publicity.
Right.
While prosecutor Diane Giacalone and Gotti's bail revoked due to evidence of witness intimidation in the Pie Chick case.
Oh. Well, from jail, Gotti ordered the murder.
I don't know if it's going to say it in here, but just let it be known that this Diane Giacalone is a moron, dude.
Oh.
She's literally responsible for having somebody murdered, but I don't know if they'll say it in this. But
well, from jail, Gotti ordered the murder of Robert Di Bernardo by Gravano. He said, Gravano, take care of Bernardo.
Right.
Both Di Bernardo and Ruggiero had been vying to succeed to Chico until Ruggiero accused Di Bernardo of challenging Gotti's leadership. When Ruggiero, also under indictment, had his bail revoked for his abrasive behavior in preliminary hearings, frustrated Gotti instead promoted Armon to underboss. Jury selection for the racketeering case began again in August of 1986, with Gotti standing trial alongside Willie Boy Johnson. Willie Boy Johnson, who, despite being exposed as an informant, refused to turn state's evidence. Good for you, guy.
That's, well, not good for him. They had no choice. I don't know. Maybe we'll see it. But
they also had Leonard DiMaria, Tony Rampino, Nicholas Corozzo, and John Carniglia. At this point, the Gambinos were able to compromise the case when George Pape had his friendship with Radonjic and was impaneled as juror number 11. Oh.
Through Radonjic, Pape contacted Gravano and agreed to sell his vote on the jury for $60,000.
Hey.
In the trial's opening statements on September 25th, Gotti's defense attorney Bruce Cutler denied the existence of the Gambino family and framed the government's entire effort as a personal vendetta.
What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, because he's embarrassing these guys all throughout the media and everything.
Yeah.
His main defense strategy during the prosecution was to attack the credibility of Giacalone's witnesses by discussing their crimes committed before their turning state's evidence.
Right.
So you got a bunch of criminals testifying against criminals.
Ridiculous.
Who are you going to believe?
All right. The judge is like, this is just ridiculous. Right. During Gotti's defense, Cutler called bank robber Matthew Traynor, a world-known...
well, not at all.
a would-be prosecution witness dropped for unreliability. He testified that... What's your name?
Giacalone.
That Giacalone offered him drugs.
Oh, no!
And her panties as a masturbation aid in exchange for his testimony. I'll give you these drugs and my panties.
That was not in the documentary.
Oh. Trainer's allegations would be dismissed by Judge Nickerson as wholly unbelievable after the trial. And he was subsequently convicted of perjury.
Yeah.
Despite Cutler's defense and critiques about the prosecution's performance, according to mob writers Jerry Capecci and Gene Mustaine, when the jury's deliberations began, a majority were in favor of putting old Gotti in jail.
However, due to Pape's misconduct, Gotti knew from the beginning of the trial that he would do no worse than a hung jury.
Yep.
During deliberations, Pape held out for acquittal until the rest of the jury began for fear their own safety would be compromised. March 13th, 87, they acquitted Gotti and his co-defendants of all charges.
Wow.
5 years later, Pape was convicted of obstruction of justice for his part in the fix and sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Hey, man, it's better than your life.
Yeah, okay, so they didn't say it, but that Giacalone put an informant, it was something about their witnesses were unreliable, and she outed the dude as being an informant, and Gotti, and nobody knew that he was.
Uh-oh.
And, like, during the trial, they show, like, a video of Gotti, like, when he finds out when the tapes are recorded and playing and shit, Gotti just looks at the fucking dude, and he's like, oh, you motherfucker. And then they found him murdered, like, literally a couple months afterwards. And in the documentary, the Giacalone was like, I mean, I feel bad for the guy's family, but it had to be done. There was no other way around it. That was the only way we were going to get this case to trial, and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's like, what a fucking... Even the FBI, all the guys were like, this dumb bitch, dude.
Bitch.
Wow. Yeah. They didn't even care that she got some dude murdered.
Didn't even care. In the face of previous Mafia convictions, particularly the success of the Mafia Commission trial, Gotti's acquittal was a major upset that further added to his reputation. American media dubbed Gotti the Teflon Don, in reference to the failure of any charges to stick. December 11th, 1990, FBI agents and NYPD detectives raided the Ravenite Social Club, arresting Gravano, Gotti, and Lucascio. Gravano pleaded guilty to a superseding racketeering charge. Gotti charged with 5 moitas, which is Castellano, Bellotti, Di Bernardo, Liberio Melito, and Luis Debano. Conspiracy to murder Gaetano Vastola as well, loan sharking, illegal gambling, obstruction of justice, bribery, and, of course, tax evasion, which is probably the only one that sticks.
No. Based on tapes from FBI bugs played at pretrial hearings, the Gambino administration was denied bail. At the same time, attorneys Bruce Cutler and Gerald Shargle were disqualified from defending Gotti and Gravano after prosecutors successfully contended they were part of the evidence and thus liable to be called as witnesses. Oh, no. Prosecutors argued that Cutler and Shargle not only knew about potential criminal activity, you have a lawyer's right to privacy.
That's true.
But had worked as in-house counsel for the... And... Gotti subsequently hired Albert Krieger, a Miami attorney who had worked with Joseph Bonanno to replace Cutler.
I mean, you can easily find another lawyer. Tapes also created a rift between Gotti and Gravano, showing the Gambino boss describing his newly appointed underboss as too greedy and attempting to frame Gravano as the main force.
Okay, so they're not going to enter or talk about it in here either, but they tried to bug the club that Gotti owned, but they never could get anything. It was too noisy, and they noticed that Gotti would always leave.
Right.
And then they'd be gone for like an hour. And then they found out that they were going upstairs in an apartment of like a 96-year-old lady of one of the members. It was like a grandma or something, or a mom. And they would hold private conversations there. So they ended up breaking in there. The FBI did, and planting wires. And it was like crystal clear audio. And that Gotti's talking about murdering people. And he's talking about fucking this and that. Idiot.
Can't do that kind of stuff.
And he's even talking about other people getting caught on tape on like wires. There's fucking wires, and people need to shut their fucking mouths, not knowing he's exposing. He was talking about, he said the word Cosa Nostra like 100 times and fucking all this shit, dude. It exposed him wholesale. What an idiot the guy turned out to be.
Idiot, man. Well, these tapes also had him attempting to frame Gravano as the main force behind the murders of Di Bernardo, Melito, and Debano. Gotti's attempt at reconciliation failed miserably, leaving Gravano disillusioned with the mob and doubtful of his chances of winning his case without Shargle, his former attorney. Gravano ultimately opted to turn state's evidence. He's like, you know what? Screw you guys. He formally agreed to testify on the 13th November 1991. At that very time, he was the highest-ranking member of the New York crime family to ever be an informer.
Well, Gotti and Lucascio were tried in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York before District Judge I. Leo Glasser. Jury selection began January 92 with an anonymous jury, and for the first time in a Brooklyn federal case, fully sequestered during the trial due to Gotti's reputation for jury tampering. Damn, so they're like, through the whole case of this trial, you guys are at this hotel or wherever you're at. You're not talking to your family. You're not doing shit. The trial commenced with the prosecution's opening statements, February 12th. Prosecutors Andrew Maloney and John Gleason begin their case by playing tape showing Gotti discussing Gambino family business, including murders he approved, and confirming the animosity between Gotti and Castellano to establish the former's motive to kill his boss. Oh, this dude was an idiot.
Wow, yeah. Look at that shit. After calling an eyewitness of the Sparks hit, who identified Carneglia as one of the men who shot Bellotti, they then called Gravano as a witness on the 2nd of March. On that very stand, Gravano confirmed Gotti's place in the structure of the Gambino family, described in detail the conspiracy to assassinate Castellano, giving a full description of the hit and its aftermath. Gravano, he confessed to 19 murders, implicating Gotti in 4 of them. Neither Krieger nor Anthony Cardinale, Lucascio's attorney, were able to shake Gravano during cross-examination. They're like, dude, you're not going to shake me, bud. I'm the bull, baby.
Well, among other outbursts, Gotti called Gravano a junkie while his attorney sought to discuss his past steroid use.
Ooh.
After presenting additional testimony and tapes, the government rested its case March 24th. June 23rd, 92, Glasser sentenced Gotti and Lucascio to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole and a $250,000 fine. Gotti surrendered to federal authorities to serve his prison time December 14th. Dude got to stay out of prison for 6 months.
Right.
September 26, 1994, a federal judge sentenced Gravano to 5 years in prison. Dude got off, admitted to 19 murders, and gets 5 years. That's it.
Jeez.
However, since Gravano had already served 4, the sentence amounted to less than 1 year.
Wow.
Oh, my. That dude. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I guess they wanted John Gotti so bad that they were like, we will turn our blind eye to the 19 murders that you committed.
Jeez.
Wow.
Pete. Gotti continued to rule the family from prison, which they usually do, while day-to-day operations of the family shifted to capos John Jackie Nose D'Amico and Nicholas Little Nick Corazzo. Corazzo and D'Amico.
D'Amico. I guess if it's D'Aquila, it's got to be D'Amico.
Right, D'Amico. Corazzo was due to take over as acting boss, but was himself sentenced to 8 years in prison on racketeering charges. Gotti's son, John Gotti Jr., they call him Jr., took over as head of the family, but he pled guilty to racketeering in 1999, sentenced 77 months in jail.
That's nothing. Well,
nothing.
Peter Gotti took over control of the family sometime likely in 2001 before his brother John Gotti died in prison on June 10, 2002. With Peter Gotti in charge, the family's fortunes dwindled to a remarkable extent, given their power a few decades ago when they were considered the most powerful one.
Right.
Peter Gotti was in prison in 2003, and the leadership allegedly went to administration members Nicholas Corazzo, Jackie D'Amico, and Joseph Corazzo. Well, look at the Corazzo brothers, huh? Peter Gotti remained the official boss while in prison.
Aww. Gotti's rivals regained control of the family, mostly because the rest of Gotti's loyalists were either jailed or under indictments. Mikey Scars de Leonardo, the former head of the family's white-collar operations and one of the last Gotti supporters, he turned state's evidence due to increased law enforcement pressure and credible evidence to be presented in his racketeering trial, and due to the administration shelving him, accusing him of stealing money from the family. He chose to testify against mobsters from all the families.
Damn.
All 5 of those bastards.
De Leonardo testified against Peter Gotti and Anthony Sonny Chacon, among others, from 2003 to 2005, and then disappeared into the witness protection program. Good for you, bud. 2005, Nicholas Little Nick Corazzo and his longtime underling, Leonard Lenny Demaria, was released from prison after sentence or serving 10 years for racketeering and loan sharking, which occurred in New York and Florida. Same year, U.S. law enforcement recognized Corazzo as the boss of the Gambino family, with his brother Joseph as the family concierge, plus Arnold Zeke Squitieri as the acting underboss, and Jackie D'Amico as highly regarded member with the Corazzo brothers.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Cool for you guys. Thursday.
Let me guess. All those guys are going to be in prison here soon.
Most likely. Thursday, February 7th, year 2008. Federal grand jury issued an indictment which led to the arrest of 54 Gambino family members and associates in New York City, its suburbs, New Jersey, and also Long Island. This indictment
Long Island is in New York City.
Right. This indictment was the culmination of a 4-year FBI investigation known as the Operation Old Bridge. It accused 62 people of murder, conspiracy, drug trafficking, robberies, extortion, and other crimes. The FBI used informant Joseph Valero as a government witness. Operation Old Bridge, it broke up a growing alliance between the Gambinos and Sicilian Mafia, which wanted to get further into the drug trade.
Yeah, they all realized drugs the way to go now, boys.
Right.
One of those arrested in the raids in the U.S. was Frank Cali, future boss of the Gambino family. Future, huh? He was allegedly the ambassador in the U.S. for the Inzerillo crime family, who must be the Sicilian one.
Right.
Most of those arrested ended up pleading guilty, thus getting sentenced less than 3 years. Federal and New York state authorities rounded up the entire Gambino family hierarchy in the early 2008. A 3-man panel of street bosses, who was Danny Marino, John Gambino. Look at another Gambino in there, huh?
Right.
And Bartolomeo Vernacci took control of the Gambino family while the administration members were in prison.
I don't mess with Versace. I get Vernacci.
Right.
July 2011 reported that Domenico Cefalù had been promoted to acting boss of the crime family, putting an end to the Gotti reign.
So the whole Gottis as a whole ruled for
until
20-something years. Good for them.
Cefalu's reign saw the Sicilian faction, better known as Zips, gain control of the Gambino crime family.
Oh, wow. Look at
They've
that.
been trying for 30 years and finally did it. It was reported by crime reporter Jerry Cepecci that Cefalu stepped down in 2015, and his underboss, Frank Cali, he took full control. However, a week later, Capecci issued a correction, reporting that Cefalu remained the acting boss.
They contacted him and was like, what the fuck you printing, huh? What the fuck are you doing?
The next one was, just kidding.
The family was believed, right? Why are you outing them? Anyways, stupids. Family, have a fucking Mafia reporter in jail. What the fuck? The family was believed to have between 150 and 200 members, as well as over 1,100 associates. So members, pretty much. The family continued to be active in a variety of criminal enterprises, including gambling, loan sharking, extortion, labor racketeering, fraud, money laundering, and narcotic trafficking.
Obviously.
2012, the Gambino family still had some control on piers in Brooklyn and Staten Island through infiltrated labor unions. Indictments from 2008 to 14 showed that the family was still very active in New York City, and everybody said the mob is dead. Get the hell out of here, dude. They run more than you think.
2009. Gambino family saw many important members released from prison.
Oh, shit. It was like everybody's getting out this year, boys.
Baby. November 18, 2009, NYPD arrested 22 members and associates of the Lucchese Gambino families as part of the Operation Pure Luck.
Oh, no.
The raid was a result of cases involving loan sharking and sports gambling on Staten Island. There were also charges of bribing New York City court officers and sanitation department officials. 2014. FBI and Italian police arrested 17 members and associates of the Ndrangheta Mafia, in particular to Ursino clan, and also 7 members and associates of the Gambino and Bonanno family.
See, you think there's a lot of shit going on in America? Go to Italy, dude. There's Sicilian mob's not even the one. I mean,
go to Sicily.
I'm saying Sicily,
Or Crete.
Sicilian mob,
Or Crete.
That's just one of them. They got
Crete. Crete. How you say it?
They got the Camorra, they got the Castellamare, they got all these regions. Sicily's only one little sliver of the mafia in Italy, dude.
It's nuts, bud.
The arrested were accused by prosecutors and law enforcement officials of organizing a transatlantic drug ring with the aim of shipping 500 kilograms of pure cocaine from Guyana and South America to the port of Gioia Toro in Calabria. Yeah, they got the Calabrian mob, too. U.S. Attorney Loretta Lynch singled out... Damn, she got some country singles. Singled out Gambino family associate Franco Lupoi as the linchpin of the operation, accusing him of conspiring with his father-in-law, Nicola Antonio Simonetta, who was a member of the Ursino clan, to set up the network. Obviously. That's stupid.
Well,
Loretta Lynn, pretty
I
fucking
get it.
similar, dude.
December 12th, year 2017. 5 associates of the Gambino family. Thomas Anzione, Alessandro Sandra D'Amelio, Joseph Durso, Anthony Rodolico, and Anthony Saladino, along with 74-year-old Captain Johnny Boy Ambrosio.
I mean, you're 74. It's time to stop being called Johnny Boy. You're Johnny Man or something. Hey, Johnny Man.
Right. They were all arrested and accused of operating an illegal racketeering enterprise from January 2014 to December 2017.
Yeah, it's probably longer.
Right. Involving racketeering, extortion, drug trafficking, loan sharking, illegal gambling, murder.
Others.
Bonanno clan family soldier, Frankie Boy Salerno, he was also arrested and accused of conspiring with the Gambino clan family.
Associates Anzoni, D'Amelio, and Durso, together with Bonanno soldier Saladino, were alleged to have sold cocaine, marijuana, and Xanax in large quantities. Prosecutor said Salerno and Saladino sourced the drugs in kilos, then sold it to the others to be distributed. Undercover agent alleged that he paid $1,250 for an ounce of cocaine. Holy shit. And also bought nearly a kilogram and a kilo in 12 different sales between February and June 2016.
Yeah, he said he alleges no...
Where's the receipts, baby?
Right.
It's not like you can... Look at right here.
Right. Ambrosio, do you need a receipt with that? Yeah, better.
Imagine. Can you
I
imagine?
better. Ambrosio, who has said to have been the head of a very profitable loan sharking and illegal gambling operation, including unlicensed gambling parlors, electronic gaming machines, and internet sports betting. Prosecutors said that he and Rodolico attempted to obstruct a federal grand jury proceeding into their criminal activities by intimidating a loan shark victim into lying to law enforcement. You lied to the law.
Well, Frank Cali, meanwhile, was shot dead March 13, 2019, outside his home on Staten Island by a lone gunman. Cali's murder was the first murder of a boss since the 1985 assassination of Castellano. I think I remember that on the news, to be honest. 3 days later, outside of his home, too. You don't do that. No, he must have really messed up. 3 days later, 24-year-old Anthony Camello was arrested.
Right on the front sidewalk.
Yeah, it was like right there. It had like a little stoop, I remember, that went
Jeez.
down. 3 days later, 24-year-old Anthony Camello was arrested and charged with the murder. Authorities reportedly believe the crime was related to a personal dispute rather than any organized crime activity. But, okay, well, still. Maybe that's why it was in front of the house.
Right. Following Cali's death, it was reported that Lorenzo Menino had become the new Gambino leader. March 14th, year 2019. Gambino family associate Anthony Pandarella was indicted for the moida and robbery of 77-year-old loan shark Vincent Zito on the 26th of October in 2018. According to court papers, Pandrella moited Zito out of fear that he would kill him foist over an unpaid $750,000 debt that he owed him.
It's probably true. The day he was supposed to pay the debt, Pandrella visited Zito at his home in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, and shot him at point-blank range in the back of the head.
Oh, man.
Stealing Zito's loan business's assets and cleaning up any incriminated evidence before getting out of the house.
Wow.
Hours after murdering him, Pandrella came back to his house to attend to Zito's family and friends and question them about developments in the police homicide investigation.
Wow.
So sorry this happened.
Right. Oh.
June 14, 2022, Pandrella was found guilty of robbery, murder, and unlawful use of a firearm.
You think?
He was sentenced to 40 years. That's it. October 6, 2022.
Oh.
Damn, he'll be out in 20.
Right. Maybe. July, year 2019. Thomas Gambino, which is now 47, considered by the FBI to be
47 then.
To be a considered by the FBI to be a significant member of the Gambino family. He was one of 15 suspected members of the Inzarello crime family arrested in coordinated raids in Sicily and in the United States. Italian police said that Gambino was caught on video meeting with ranking members of the Inzarello clan on a speedboat off the coast of Palermo a year earlier.
Well,
They alleged that they are discussing the sale of property formerly owned by Frank Galli. Rosario Gambino was also arrested.
the Gambinos. On December 5th, 2019, Gambino family capo Andrew Campos and 9 other gangsters were arrested in a...
I'm a capo.
He's a capo. Well, they were arrested in a federal mob crackdown in the Bronx and Winchester County on allegations of threats of violence to extort money. December 6th, John Simonlakaj, cousin of Mark Chippy Kokaj, and a managing director of the HFZ Capital Group, was arraigned in Brooklyn federal court on federal charges of wire fraud, conspiracy, and tax fraud. Prosecutors alleged CWC contracting operated by Kokaj, Campos, and Vincent Fiore paid bribes to employees of numerous construction companies and real estate developers, including HFC Capital.
Makes sense. Come on. 18th January, year 2023. Gambino family capo Frank Calypso Camuso, soldier Luis Estiro,
Louis, clearly.
and associate Robert Rusty Basilisi were indicted along with 20 other defendants, including Genovese family soldier Christopher, they call him Jerry, Chiariaccio, and 26 companies by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office for a kickback scheme operated by Basilisi, the vice president of the Grimaldi Group, a firm which allegedly received $4.2 million from contractors.
Wow.
From April 2013 to July 2021, Basilisi reportedly used his position to steal from his firm's developer clients by providing inside info about competitors' bids to subcontractors, among other offenses. According to the indictment, Estiro and family associate Paul Noto distributed a portion of the proceeds from kickbacks to companies Camuso and his family owned.
And to wrap this one up, the Gambino family has been featured in several films, as we all know. The 1994 film Getting Gotti showcases a 1980s prosecution of the Gambino boss, who was portrayed by Tony Dennison. Witness to the Mob was a made-for-television movie about the life of Gambino underboss turned FBI informant Sammy Gravano. In the 2001 TV movie Boss of Bosses, actor Chaz Palminteri portrays Gambino boss Paul Castellano. Oh, nice. 1996 TV movie Gotti, actor Armand Assante portrays Gambino boss John Gotti. In the movie Goodfellas, Gambino family made member William Billy Bats Davino, played by Frank Vincent, is killed in a fight with Thomas DeSimone, who was portrayed as Tommy DeVito in the film, but also portrayed as Joe Pesci. Lucchese crime family associate he was. 2018 film and the worst film Mafia film ever made, Gotti.
That was not that bad.
A commercial and critical flop. Stars John Travolta in the
Is that what it says?
titular role.
A commercial and critical flop. It wasn't that bad.
It's terrible.
It wasn't the best movie I've seen.
John Travolta sucks. He sucks.
He suckety sucks. At least as a mob boss, right?
That's anything.
And
He was a good.
We'll
not get into that on the.
He was a good stepdad. He was a good stepdad.
And what?
Look who's talking.
Oh. Was he, though?
He was a good stepdad.
Was he, though?
He was.
Was he, though? We don't know what happened after that. They're probably divorced by now.
That's true.
Right?
Right.
That's going to do it for this episode. Whole history of the Gambino family, but we ain't done with the Gambino family because obviously we're going to take a look at
Everybody.
the most important people, including
All of them.
well, we've already discussed these guys. Maybe Frank Scalise, Vincent Mangano already did him, Albert Anastasia for sure.
Yep.
Carlo Gambino, obviously. Paul Castellano, obviously. John Gotti, obviously. John A. Gotti, obviously. Peter Gotti, if he's got a good enough story. And maybe if the other guys got good enough stories. Who else we got here? We already did Giuseppe, Terranovas, blah, blah, blah. Vito, we did. Damn, Vito? Oh. What? Oh, obviously. And then the other, probably the only one that's not the actual boss that we'll take a look at is Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Yeah, Gravano.
And yeah, that's going to be coming up on the Mafia series. Like I said at the beginning, if you guys want us to continue full time, every episode that we do is.
Wait, Domenico Cefalu is still the boss? Look at that shit.
Yeah, apparently. That's what they say.
Oh,
supposedly.
Menino's the front boss.
Right.
Oh, and then you got, okay.
So the Cefalu guy, apparently, supposedly the boss. We'll see.
Okay.
If you guys want us to keep on with the Mafia and see it out until we're over with, or just do one episode a month of the Mafia, let us know in the YouTube comments or on when you leave your review. Even leave the review, or if you can answer the little Spotify, how did you like this episode? What did you think of the episode? Whatever it says, and let us know. Either that, we'll be back this time next month.
It does look like John Travolta, though.
Not at all.
It does.
No,
It does.
It doesn't.
Put his face next to it.
It doesn't.
Put it.
It doesn't.
Put it.
It doesn't.
Put it.
We'll be back next month, first episode of December with another Mafia episode. In the meantime, we'll be kicking out some true crime stuff. I don't know what we're going to do next week for true crime, though.
It's going to be something that's true.
It'll be criminal.
There's a criminal.
It'll be criminal. Also, go check out the Bang Dang Network, YouTube, podcast networks, wherever. Battles of the American Civil War. And that's it. Lee and Corey on the case. We got a lot of stuff. We'll go over there. Just go check us all
The
out.
Monday Night Watch Long.
No, don't go check it out. We'll be back.
We got 5 years in that shit, damn it.
We'll be back next week for True Crime, and next month for another Mafia episode. We are the Mother
Bang
Machine
Dang.
with